Good morning, Gateway family. It's Dr. Wall with Gateway Chiropractic. Super excited that you guys are on live with me. If you can, just for a moment, doing a little house checking or housekeeping right now. I have a new mic. I have headphones on. Just want to make sure that everybody is hearing me really well. So if you can comment, yes, I'm hearing you. No, I'm not. That will help me here as we're kind of letting people, chime in here before we get going. I'm super excited to be here with you. I'm super excited about this class. I feel like this is going to be one of those workshops that just is really going to speak to a lot of you. It really does speak to me. This is one that we've never done before. This is all about sleeping, but sleeping has a bigger impact than you might think. And so I want to do here, kind of get interactive here. Pop that in there. Okay, you guys can hear me? Yes. Okay, perfect. Tested it yesterday, but you know how technology can be when you're doing it for the first time. So I just popped up there. Let us know you're watching. Yeah, please, if you're watching, let us know. If it's your first time to watch a class with us, get on, let us know. That's going to be huge. I love seeing that. And we also want you to really get a lot out of this. Awesome. Thank you, Alita. I'm glad you can hear me. This is going to be one of those classes that I think will speak to a lot of us because most of you, including myself, like I'm going to tell on myself a little bit here. This is the workshop that I dread to do. Might be because I haven't done it before, but out of all the essentials, this is the one that I struggle with the most. I have the hardest time getting good quality sleep. It's not just about quantity, it's about quality. And what you'll find is this impacts your health beyond just being a little bit groggy the next morning. Like legit big stuff is going to start to go down with your body in a bad way. And so there's a lot to this. There's a hormonal component to this. We're going to get into that. That'll really, I think, speak to a lot of you as to why you might be going to sleep and waking up and not going back to sleep. Or you can't turn your mind off. There's some hormonal stuff going on, but also there's neurological stuff going on at the same time. So these things are interlinked. And so when I hit my head back at the beginning of May of this year, I really started paying attention to my stress levels because they were bad. And just like all of us, we try to push through the stress. And you can't do it. Like with sleep as well, this isn't just a relative thing with me. This is a long time problem with me. I would sacrifice sleep to get my workout in first thing in the morning for years. And this is doing the endurance type of stuff. So I was so scared that I would, drown or something in the swim part of a triathlon that I made sure that hey, I don't care if I don't sleep very good. I'm doing my swim workout because I'm not drowning, right? So very bad decision making, I will admit, but also just some of us are real stubborn in certain areas of our health. This one is for me. And what happened with this was for years, I've been doing endurance stuff, almost as long as I've been practicing. I've been doing it for 10 years. For 10 good years, my sleep's been awful. And I didn't get very good deep sleep and I didn't get hardly any REM sleep. And I just kind of pushed it. I'm going to show you why that is, because before you might think that you sleep good. I thought I had no problem going to sleep and waking up. I never really woke up a lot during the night, maybe once to use the restroom, but I thought I didn't really think how bad it was doing to me. So there is more to just sleep than the amount you're sleeping. There is the quality. So you could be sleeping 8 hours, but if you're not getting deep sleep, you're not getting REM sleep, you're building disease. So some processes are going to start to break down the longer it happens. So this is another sneaky process that happens. It's not an overnight thing because we're talking about long-term problems sleeping, not just a couple of nights. So we all have stress. We all have seasons of stress. And that will affect sleep. Absolutely. So that's life. But what I'm talking about is when that becomes every time or very frequently, problems start to arise. So we're so glad you guys are on us. Okay, good. I'm glad everybody's hearing me now. I was worried about this. So I'm glad you guys are hearing what I'm going to do here as we get into this. I have 3 groups of people watching this class. So first group, all you guys that are live with me, all you guys that are patients, so excited you guys are on here. I'm glad you guys are communicating with me. We're going to have probably a lot of questions on this. So we're going to have question and answer at the end. So stay in tune. This will be a not like a makeover. This is going to be a very focused workshop. So it's going to be short and sweet. So I imagine you guys will have questions. We'll do that at the end. So anytime during this class, when I go into the presentation mode here, I actually can't see, like I can see your comments now, but I can't see them when I'm in presentation mode. So write your questions. At the end, we'll answer them. So if you have a question, you're not alone. Everybody's thinking the same thing. You're just the brave one that's asking the question. So please ask the question. That's going to be big, and it'll help everybody. Number 2, as we go through this, a lot of you, this is your first time to be at a class, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person, but we have a lot of fun with these, and we honor you guys for taking your time with us doing them. So we actually have sales, and they're awesome. We're going to have a bundle of stuff we're going to talk about that relates to helping with giving you the right nutrients to put you in the driver's seat for better sleep. That's going to be a bundle. It's our sleep and slumber bundle. It'll be very, very much marked down today, but our whole store is marked down. So you get the best sale on anything resources today. So while a lot of you are used to this, you've already filled out your forms ahead of time. Brandon's already taken care of it at the front. A lot of you haven't, this is your first class. So if I'm speaking to you and there's stuff that you're like, man, I think I would benefit from that, all you got to do is text our office number. Brandon would prefer, you can call it too, but Brandon would prefer you text it with what you want. He'll get things run and set up, and you just come in on Tuesday and pick them up. So I have you guys. Those of you that are going to be watching this a little bit later in the day, I have a lot of that they're going to watch a little bit later tonight. You can still take advantage of all the sales today. So as long as you call the office, leave a message, or text today, we can track that. You'll be honored with it, and you'll also have savings. If you're in another state, this is where it gets kind of fun, but you can still get a lot out of this class. We have a lot of people that watch from other states. So something that I want you guys to do, I'm going to show you how to order some stuff online, and it'll be shipped to your doorstep. So you can do this and do about 90% of this really well. And we can even find a doctor that does what we do by you. Just, again, reach out and let us know where you're watching from. It's totally fine. We love helping people around the country. But if you're a guest or a family member of a patient, and you're going, man, I need to go and check this guy out or this office out, we'll also show you how we can help you check your nervous system. Because, again, as you'll find out, this has a very big, not just hormonal problem and stress, which is hormones, but also it is a neurological thing too. It's kind of a combination of it all. So I think we'll unpack it in a good way today. And yeah, man, we got a lot of you guys on here. I love this. So this is going to be fun. So I don't know about you guys. I'm super excited about this. So we're going to get into presentation mode here. Let me pop this out. And it's been a while since I've done a virtual workshop. So I'm back to, there we go. Okay. Beyond the Z's. Man, this one's big because 1 in 5 of you watching, and it might be more. I feel like when we do a class on a certain topic, more people dealing with that are watching. So this is probably a lot of you watching, but just general American population, 50 to 70 million Americans have sleep disorders. So we're not just talking about bad night's sleep or maybe a season of bad sleep. We're talking about like clinical bad sleep. I'm taking stuff to go to sleep. 1 in 5 people. I just think that's terrible because of what our body does when we sleep. See, sleep is our restorative process. This is when we're talking some major things happen while we sleep that need to happen. Our immune system rebuilds itself. Our immune system, in the act of that, it's also killing viruses or threats to the body. You do that the most while you're sleeping and resting, which is why if you're not feeling good, you typically are told to rest and sleep. Why? Because when you're resting and sleeping, your immune system is acting better and it's doing its job. You're giving it the best chance with rest. So we need that. Your muscles and tissues repair themselves. You have cells that die off and new cells are made for your organs. You have hormones getting into balance. And the list goes on and on and on. Like your heart calms down, your blood pressure relaxes, your lungs calm down, your blood sugar should balance. These are things that should be happening while we are sleeping. If we're not sleeping really good, There's short-term problems and long-term problems. What I find, and this is me speaking to me too, so don't worry, I'm talking to myself. For a long time, I really understood, or I really focused on the short-term problems of not sleeping, which is I would run myself down, and that's when I would really get sick, is when I just wasn't sleeping really at all for like a week or two, when it was stressful, when life threw challenges at us. So we've all been through that, and we all kind of know, yeah, if we're not sleeping good, we get sick. Well, that's affecting the immune system, but that's short-term stuff. If this is kind of our normal, not sleeping really good, and that's starting to carry on into days, into weeks, into months, and then even into years, like a lot of people, they just don't sleep very good. Well, what does that mean? That means because your body is not actually repairing and healing, you are now more prone to having some issues like heart disease, blood sugar imbalances, so diabetes, high blood pressure, stroke. Yes, not sleeping well for a long time can put you at risk of a heart attack and stroke. Huge. Losing weight, as you can see, I put obesity there. I should put a couple others. So like chronic inflammation, right? So chronic stress. When we start having this long term and our body can't balance and calm down, yeah, forget trying to lose weight. A lot of people, they'll eat well, they'll exercise, and their sleep is awful, and they have a really hard time losing weight. Matter of fact, they actually start to gain weight, and they're like, well, I'm doing all this good stuff, but I'm gaining weight. What's going on? You're stressed, and you're not sleeping good, and you're not letting the stress balance out. So that is a neurological thing. We're going to talk about it. But again, chronic inflammation, really big. Autoimmune type of stuff, again, it leads to that. But I'm hoping I'm like making your eyes kind of get a little bit bigger what sleep does, and the lack of it, what that does to us as well. So we're going to get into that. But let's just talk about 9 signs that you need better sleep. So how do I know, Dr. Wall, that it's not just like a couple of weeks of stress? It's the holidays, right? We're all kind of not sleeping great. We inherited this small horse that's a dog to go with our other dog, and we have not been sleeping well for 2 weeks, as long as we've had this dog. And so many different things have kind of, not to get into that, but just like sleeping has been kind of off. But I will tell you, back before I hit my head, I didn't really measure my sleep very well. I do now. I have a wearable, and it tracks my heart rate variability, my resting heart rate while I sleep. It tracks my light sleep, my deep sleep, and my REM sleep. So after I hit my head, I really started looking at this, and I was noticing that I was getting absolutely no REM sleep. And I think that had been the norm for a long time, I'm talking years. No REM sleep, like zero. And it makes sense, and I'll get into what REM sleep is in a minute, but like it makes sense. Why? I mean, I kind of, that resonated with me. That made sense. That was a gut punch that I needed to make a change. I will tell you, I'm definitely not perfect at this. I still struggle with this, but there's a lot of things that I've learned over these last few months and applied that make or break my REM sleep and my deep sleep and my sleep score. And we're talking same amount of hours I'm getting sleep-wise. I'm getting more, but not a lot more. But my scores are drastically better. My heart rate variability is a lot better. My resting heart rate's a lot better. And my REM sleep, I'm getting consistent REM sleep. And there's things that, even with this craziness we've had with this dog waking me up during the night, like this morning, woke me up at 3 this morning just howling, and it's so big, like you can't not hear this thing. It's gigantic. So it's howling. I'm getting up at 3 a.m. and I got to get up at 5 this morning. I'm just like, I don't want to get up. It's killing all my metrics. Still got a really good amount of REM sleep, and still got a pretty good sleep score, even though my sleep was interrupted. So that never would happen before. There's some things and tips I think you're going to get out of this. So 9 signs you need better sleep. Your blood pressure is increasing and you don't know why. You haven't had a diet change. You haven't had like a medication change. You're just starting to notice it's rising, and that can go with stress, but also can go with sleep. You're unable to focus or remember. You're starting to have the brain fog. I mean, that's a big sign as well. If that's consistent, watch out. Your sleep, you're not getting enough deep or REM sleep. You're starting to get sick a lot more, frequent coughs and colds. You're sleeping late on the weekends to catch up. Ooh, anybody do this? I've done this. I did this really before kids. Like, I don't think this applies. If you had little kids, you just forget sleeping in. That's a fantasy, right? Like, I'd pay money to sleep in, but it just doesn't work. But you have to sleep in on the week. You're trying to catch up on your sleep, which you're never going to do. It's always going to, not end well. Blood sugar's creeping up. You can't shed the pounds. You consume caffeine a lot during the day, like 2-3 cups of coffee to kind of get going. Big problem there, but you can't stop hitting the snooze button on the alarm. And then you're irritable and moody. Anybody that knows you don't have a good night's sleep, you're just kind of the next day. Cognitive problem solving skills aren't really great. And we kind of joke at this. I'm laughing at this because I know this isn't just me. I think a lot of you are in this boat where you're like, yeah, he's naming everything. It's me too. And remember, it's a restorative process. So we don't just need like 8 hours. We need to get quality in that sleep. So when we sleep, our body fixes and repairs cells and substances that get depleted while we're awake, helping us stay healthy and functioning properly. So if we're not doing that, that's a problem, And so at the root cause of most problems, most diseases, it's stress. I mean, we all have stress, but stress is one of those common factors that contributes to sleep issues. In addition to stress, other factors like poor diet, unhealthy lifestyle, certain medications affect your sleep. Absolutely. And then even more stuff can be linked to insomnia and trouble sleeping. And a lot of people deal with this. And so that boils down to what I'm talking about. There's really 3 kind of stages of sleep problems. If you're having the occasional problem sleeping, that'd be kind of like the first stage. And that could be just a week of stress. It could be a couple weeks of having a dog it's a lot. I mean, I love dogs, but oh my gosh, I wasn't prepared for this. Then there's I have a sleep problem. So frequently I'm just not getting sleep. But then you have clinical, where it's just every single night's the same thing. I go to sleep, I wake up, I can't go back to sleep, or I toss and turn all night and I just do not get good sleep. So wherever you are in these 3 types, what we're talking about is really going to help you. Sorry about that. There we go. Poor sleep, think about it's kind of like the oil light, like the warning on your car. Like, you need to start making some changes. What a lot of us like to do is we'll take a drug or even just a bunch of supplements, and not to say supplements are bad, but if we're just putting some tape over the oil light, right, and we're not changing the oil, like, our car's going to break down. We're similar analogy if we don't get to root causes of why we're just not sleeping well. And there could be more than one. Typically, there's a lot. It's multi-factors, right, with health. It's not just one thing. That's why it's tough. So we have to start identifying causes, working on causes. Also, yeah, you might have to supplement a little bit. That's okay, but you got to work on the causes. If you don't, we will break down. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense when it comes to this. From a neurological standpoint, hormone standpoint, I'm going to show you they're intertwined here. This is vital. This is one of those things where you want to write this down and remember it. Some of these are a little bit fancy terms, but I promise you I'm going to break it down to where you understand it's not just one thing, it's both, and both have to be addressed. Otherwise, we get limited results, right? So we have to understand that there is a neurological component. I find one of the most underestimated parts of people not getting good sleep is they don't take care of their nervous system, meaning they don't take care of their spinal column. They don't take care of their spine. What you're going to find out here is how big proper spinal alignment is, which equates to proper nerve firing or signaling to all of your body, from brain down and then from the body back to the brain. Why that loop is so key, you got to have balance. And if you are subluxated, meaning, and I'll get to what that looks like in a minute, if your spine is stuck and the nerves are compressed, it throws your nervous system out of balance. So you have something called the sympathetic nervous system. You have something called the parasympathetic nervous system. So again, not to get heady here, but in this context, I have to explain it a little bit. So bear with me. I promise you it'll be simple. So you have a lot of you that are new watching, the most important system you and I have in our body is our nervous system. It's our brain and our spinal cord and everything that comes off of the spinal cord, all the spinal nerves. It runs not just our muscles. It runs our hormones. It runs our glands. It runs our nerves. It runs our muscles and tissues. It runs all of our organs, all the cells, your reproductive system, your immune system, colon, digestive system, glands, hormones, all of it. There's not an exception, is run from the brain down. Brain's got to send signals down the body. Nerves go out, or signals go out the nerves to different parts of your body. So that system's got to be working well at all times. Now, in the context of the nerves, the nervous system has sections or parts of it. So bear with me on this. It'll make sense. You have the brain and spinal cord. That is the central nervous system. That's Houston NASA control. That's the relay between brain and body. And by the way, there's no pain felt in the central nervous system. Your spinal cord doesn't feel any pain. This shocks people, but it doesn't. It's working, organs and tissues. The peripheral nerves, that's all the nerves that come off the spinal cord and go to everywhere in your body. That's called the peripheral nervous system. Now, there's subcategories of the nerves that go to everywhere in your body. There has to be, right? So out of the peripheral nerves, we have subcategories. We have somatic nerves. These are the nerves that run your arms, your legs, your muscles, your tissues. It's about 10% of your entire nervous system are the somatic nerves. And these are nerves that you feel. If you've damaged them, you'll feel it. That's only 10%. 90% of your nerves you do not feel. That's called the autonomic nerves. In school, the way I remembered it was autonomic means automatic, right? They're kind of very synonymous, meaning you don't regulate it. Like, this is your heart beating. This is your lungs breathing. This is you digesting your food you're eating right now. There's no, you don't control that. You don't tell your heart how to beat. It's doing it innately through the brain. It's a subconscious level that it's working. Thank goodness. You and I try to tell our heart how to beat. We forget. I would forget. And boom, I'd be gone, right? It's automatically working, and it repairs and works on its own while you sleep. That's autonomic nerves. In that context, the autonomic nervous system, that is 90% of your nerves. That's all the ones running your organs. There's two parts to this. There's the sympathetic nerves and parasympathetic nerves. This is where chiropractic and you getting adjusted, this is the special sauce, man. This is the magic stuff that's going to happen hormonally when you get adjusted. I'm going to explain why. But your sympathetic nerves, these are your fight or flight response nerves. These are the nerves that speed up like your heart rate. They increase your blood pressure, right? They shut down the digestive tract. They get blood flow to your extremities, right? You're alert. You are focused. Why? Because this system is designed out of fear. It's designed to protect you or your family from a threat, or to run away from a threat, right? That's fight or flight. You need it. Thank God we have this innately designed in us, and it speeds up organs and it shuts down other organs. It's the fight or flight response. The hormone that gets dumped out into your body when this is stimulated is cortisol. Cortisol is needed. Like I said, it's a good thing in short doses. Cortisol is not meant to be a long-term thing. You are not designed to be in fight or flight for months to years. You're not. Your body breaks down. Parasympathetic, you have a balance, right? You got to have a balance. Parasympathetic is your body's response to that. It's the resting and relaxing part of your nervous system, if not more important than the fight or flight, because rest and relaxing calms your brain, calms your blood pressure, calms your heart, increases your lung expansion. You start breathing from the diaphragm when you're relaxed, not just from the lungs. It relaxes your bowels so you can eliminate waste. You digest better when you're relaxed, right? You digest better. Think about this. Think about you eating and then immediately trying to exercise. You're going to feel terrible in your stomach because your body stops digesting. You're just going to lug around whatever you ate in your stomach because it's the wrong systems activated at that time. That's why you don't eat right, or you don't exercise right after you eat. You don't do that. It beats you up. So parasympathetic, we're relaxing. That's what we want. That is serotonin and melatonin. That is the big hormones that are released in the body when you're in this mode. But there's got to be balance. What I find with most people coming in to see me, but just not even my office, this is your family and friends. Most people are way too stimulated, fight or flight. They're way too wired, way too much cortisol, way too much stress, and way less calming, resting, digesting. So when you are out of balance like that, big problems happen. So we're going to talk about how the spine relates to this, and how it calms things down. But just to give you an idea, when your spine, let me show you this because I want to show you this to reference a point. So when your spine is in the right position, the nerves that come out of these holes, that is your sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. Okay, you have branches of both, but the holes are big, the nerves are protected, they're not getting crushed. So you have the balance, right? You have fight or flight, and then you have resting, digesting, and they're in balance. They're keeping each other in check. But science has actually shown this through research looking at subluxations in people's spines, meaning due to life, a lot of you are new watching. So due to life, the normal position the spine should be in can get altered due to a million things. Even the way you sleep every day can throw your spine out of alignment because it's repetitive over time. But your spine can shift. So check that out. It shifts and the nerves get clamped or crushed. You can even have big things where like somebody loses a whole section of the spine and the whole spinal cord gets stretched out. Now we know your spinal cord doesn't feel pain, but it's going to affect function every time that happens. So when that happens, science has actually shown that your sympathetic nervous system starts to go way high. Your cortisol immediately rises when you have a subluxation in your spine, and it stays like that. It won't go down. So this is the people, like, you can eat well, you can exercise, which are great things to do. We're going to talk about them. However, if the pressure's still on the nerves, you're still releasing cortisol and you don't even know it's a physical stress. And wherever that nerve goes to is starting to be affected by that. That's subluxation. And our job in the office is finding that and removing that with patients. We do that every day. And a lot of people are like, well, that makes sense. But I go right back to the stress of life, the next week or even the next hour, I'm going right back to stress. And that's why it's different than it was 100 years ago, adjusting people. It's like, yeah, stress is at all-time highs. We're going to talk about how we have so much access to this stuff. Even think about the 80s. A lot of you were alive then, right? I kind of miss the 80s when you had a phone that was connected to your wall in your house. You didn't have a cell phone. It was like you had a voicemail message machine and you could just escape people. You didn't have news 24/7. You had it at like 5 to 6 p.m. and maybe some late night news, and that's it. You didn't have access to this. So people just weren't as stressed back then as they are now. And that's why the balance is so far off more than ever. So if you're having poor sleep, think of it this way. You have an overactive nervous system, but you have the overactive sympathetic. You have overactive cortisol. That's way too high. It's way overactive, and you need to balance that out. So it is a neurological and a hormone thing. So I kind of go back to what I was just kind of teasing. If we kind of live like God designed us to live, which was to not have all this stress, like we're having stress, right? Biblically, we're going to have it, but we were never meant to have it access to it all the time, right? But if our body was balanced, if our nerves were balanced at 100%, if we moved our body properly, and if we weren't getting just bombarded with pollution and toxins, even in our food, but even in the environment, yeah, you and I would have normal sleep too. But it's just not the case these days. So we have to take some steps to put our body into that mode, and these things work really well. So I'm going to talk about 3 steps. So say 3. This is going to help you guys fixing sleep to where you're getting a lot more REM and a lot more deep sleep, because there's stages to it. So let me talk about this before I get into the first step. So when you sleep, when you and I go to sleep, we cycle. So when I talk about this, there's 4 stages to sleep. You have your first 15 minutes of a sleep cycle, 15 to 25. That is your light sleep. This is when there is no apparent change in your body. Like you're out, but your heart rate is the same. Your breathing rate is the same. Your muscles are still active, right? You're not repairing anything. You're just getting into the sleep cycle, but your sleep, But anything like little noises and stuff like that pops you up, like you rise out of bed. That's light sleep. That is a very small percentage of what your sleep should be. But you have to have that. So that's the first stage. Then you have deep sleep. That's the second stage. And then you have the third stage, which is deepest sleep. Now, in both of these stages, we want to spend most of our sleep time in deep and deepest sleep. Why? Because that's when the immune system repairs. That's when the immune system strengthens. That is when the muscles and tissues repair. That's when cells, the cells that need to be killed off in your body, the apoptosis, programmed cell death, that happens and new cells are replicated and made. And your body during this time will use vitamins, minerals, protein, fat, carbs. It'll use that to build new cells, to build new protein, build new muscles. You'll use protein for that. You build new tissues. Your body is rebuilding itself a lot while you sleep. So we want to be, that's deep and deepest sleep. That should be about 60 to 70% of all of your sleep should be deep sleep, right? Either deep or deepest, but in that zone, like 60, 70%. And then you have REM sleep, which is the last stage of the sleep cycle. That should be about 25% of your sleep, your total sleep. That's your rapid eye movement sleep. This is when you dream. Something that I noticed for years, I never dreamed. And if you're going, I don't dream at all, you're not getting any REM sleep like I wasn't. Like I was zero REM sleep. I was looking at markers a week after my head trauma, and I'm like, holy cow, I'm getting like out of 100 sleep score, like I'm getting 40s. I'm getting failing sleep scores every night. And it's annoying because I'm like, okay, this is starting to stress me out because I didn't know that my sleep was so bad. But one of the biggest reasons was I got zero REM sleep. I mean, we're talking probably for about 10 years, I didn't get any. Probably one of the big reasons why I fainted and almost died by hitting my head. So like you kind of put some stuff together, exhaustion, stress, a lot of things play into that. But that really that shocked me or shook me at my core. And I'm like, okay, I got to look at things to help me get some REM sleep and things that I might be doing that I'm not aware of that's caused me to get none. So there are. So number one, this one is going to be big. This is not necessarily for a lot of people. You're gonna be relating to this. Me, not so much. The second step is where I really struggled with for years. So I'm going to get to that. But the first step, moving our body and eating right, those are going to be really big things to do. And a lot of people don't do them, but there's some targeted nutrition that make or break our REM sleep. Okay. There's targeted stuff. So number one, I'm going to get to is obviously you want to be doing the advanced plan, or at least at the minimum core plan. You want to be doing better with your eating. And that's kind of number one. So I don't want you to treat this like I'm just going to do these things at night, still not eat really good for the rest of the day, but I'm going to focus on this at night. That's that symptom treatment. Let's don't do that, right? That's short-term gain, long-term loss. We want to do both, but preferably where it really makes impacts on your REM sleep and deep sleep is in the afternoon, the evening, especially when you're kind of getting ready for bed. So if you can eliminate these main problems before bed, and then preferably most of the time we're talking about just eating better, you're going to be in a sweet spot, man. It's going to help so much. So refined carbs, that's really big. So one thing with me, with carbs, I do have to take a little bit more just because when you do endurance stuff, you run out of fuel pretty quick if you're not putting carbs in. So you can do a lot on fat and protein, but just at the end of the day, you can get a quicker boost with carbs, complex ones, but still. So my carbs, and I say carbs, my carbs is like sweet potato or rice. Like kind of rice is my big one for my carb intake. I do pretty well with it. But I know that I tend to do better when I have it at lunch. But when I have it in the evening, it can still affect you because you're going to go to sleep. I'm not going to be doing any training. And so the whole carb loading is not the smartest idea to do at night. You're just going to all the refined, but I was doing, rice, refined carbs. That's going to be a little different. That's going to be more of like your wheat, your bread, your pastas, pizzas, that type of stuff. Chips. That's going to be like hydrogenated oils and that type of stuff. Usually is the processed food, has a lot of refined carbs in it, white flour, stuff like that. That type of stuff turns into sugar very fast. Sugar is one way to just destroy your REM sleep. Sugar is also going to mess with your heart rate variability while you sleep, meaning, so the next day you're going to wake up and you're going to feel like you've been hit with, hit over the head or driven over by a truck. You're going to be very groggy, very slow to do stuff. Your cognitive is going to be off. So remembering and focus, you're going to have the brain fog when you're doing a lot of the refined carbs at night, because it turns right into sugar. So if you're doing a lot of grains, a lot of that stuff at night, remember, even though there's some health benefits of the grains, of the ancient grains and healthy rice and stuff, it's still going to be pretty high in carbs. So it is going to turn still very fast and spike your blood sugar and stuff like that while you're sleeping. So now your body, while you sleep, think about this, it's not repairing as good as it should. It's trying to break down all the sugar and carbs and try to get that into your cells for energy, but you're asleep. So it throws off the rebuilding process, which is obviously not good. So having sugary sweets at night, juice at night, high glycemic fruit even at night, these are things that will affect your REM sleep. You'll have, a good 50% less REM sleep, maybe 100% less REM sleep doing this at night. Also, your HRV, your heart rate variability, which is a measurement of how well your heart is handling your rest and then your load that you put on yourself during the day. You want to have a higher heart rate variability. So a good score for this, and if you have a wearable, it tracks it. Most of them track it. But you kind of want to be between 49 to 60 is the sweet spot to be in for HRV. I would find that if I had some rice with my meal for dinner, I would find that it would drop a couple points my heart rate variability the next morning. It would just drop it like 2 or 3 points. So it was interesting. So you kind of start seeing and picking, okay, if I add this in, does it affect it? And you start to notice some stuff. So yeah, so now it's like, I don't really have rice at night anymore. It's more lunch is when I'll have my carbs, and it's improved my sleep score and my heart rate variability. In addition to that, this one's also biggest, the caffeine. I told you this one, I'm going to get an email. One of you guys are going to comment on this. I know it, but the caffeine, holy cow, destroys your REM sleep. It destroys it. You'll have none. So if you're that 2-3 cup of coffee person, it's really hard to just cut it out. You're going to have headaches because you're taking a lot of caffeine for that hit, the adrenals. You're trying to get the energy back. So there's some things that we have to help here in the bundle for natural energy, natural NO2 or natural nitric oxide stuff we got that here in a minute to talk about. But just the caffeine, the way I would start doing is if you do 3 cups a day, do 2. Try to have no caffeine after lunch, none. I'm telling you, you'll have no REM sleep. No matter how good you eat or how long you sleep, you'll have none. This tanks it. So I do a little caffeine in the morning. I have some nitric oxide mix I do before I exercise. But I like, that's it. Like, I don't do stuff that's caffeine related after lunch, and it helps with, I get REM sleep. I get a lot of it compared to what I was getting. But caffeine, that's big. So you gotta scale it down. If you can go from 2 cups to 1 cup, like I said, you're better off doing that. It will help a bunch. And probably the biggest one, this is the one that even me, I'm mad at. Alcohol at night, complete nightmare for your REM sleep, your deep sleep, and a nightmare for your heart rate variability. Now, I thought it was just me hitting my head because I was having a lot of, for a couple months after, I was having a lot of concussion symptoms. I was having a whole lot of just weird, woozy days, grogging. I was dealing with concussion. I've had multiple, but that one was 20 years since my other ones. So it was bad. I was having a lot of whiplash stuff, a lot of concussion symptoms. I was just dizzy a lot, adjusting you guys for about 2 months. And I just didn't feel right for like 2 to 3 months. I just didn't feel right. But I noticed that, and I don't drink much. I really don't. But occasionally if I'm out on a date with Shanna, or if I'm out with some friends, which is rare for us these days. But when I am, I'll like, if I have a steak or something, I'll have a glass of wine, like one glass of wine. Or if we're on vacation, I'll have a pina colada as my beach drink. You know, that's my go-to. I'll have a pina colada or two, but nothing crazy. This was the biggest killer that I saw with me personally of my heart rate variability. I'll tell you this. So I did a half marathon and a full marathon within these last couple of months. That type of a training load, the next day my heart rate variability was lower because you put such a load on the body doing like a full marathon. Like it beats you up. So you're going to see a drop the next day. That's expected. If I drink one glass of wine, and I've only done this 3 or 4 times since I hit my head because I've stopped doing it just entirely, but one glass of wine, my heart rate variability would go to like 39 or 40. It would go lower than if I did a full marathon. That's how much of an impact it makes doing it. Now, I never had a glass of wine. I don't do that at lunch or breakfast, but so I can't compare it to doing that. But just at like 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. dinner, having one, that's what I woke up to the next day. And I was like, holy cow, it makes a worse impact on me than running a marathon. It's crazy, right? So just watch that. Also, deep sleep gone. Like you get none. You're restless. My sleep scores would be in the 40s. It just tanks it. This one is tough because, of course, like, you know, I like to every now and then do this, but there's a lot of you maybe watching that you have a glass every night. Yeah, are there benefits to wine? Yeah, there's some resveratrol, but again, wine, alcohol, like I don't do anything hard, but even the hard alcohol, the whiskey and stuff, those are sugar alcohols. So the amount of sugar that's in a alcoholic drink, it's more than chocolate. It's so high and it turns into sugar very fast. And I think that might be, plus the alcohol content, I think that's why it has such a big effect on REM and on heart rate variability. But this one had the biggest impact on me on heart rate variability. So just if you do this, limit it, really limit it. I'm not going to tell you to never drink again. I'm not going to say that, but I will tell you to measure how you do if you go out on the weekend. Maybe you're out and you have a drink or two. Measure your heart rate and check it. You might be shocked as to how your body does not like it. So again, alternatives to this there are, as I've been finding. So I like just iced tea. I'll do now a lot, or I'll do some Zevia, just to give me just something different than water. But like, yeah, I don't drink anymore. It's crazy, and it wasn't a lot. So that one really shocked me. So little things like that deplete your REM and they deplete your heart rate variability and they deplete your deep sleep. You just won't get it. Now I want to move to things that are going to actually increase it. So this is the fun stuff. How can we really boost up our REM sleep, boost up our heart rate variability and our deep sleep? Well, there's some studies that show that working out in the morning, that's key. Working out first thing in the morning, about 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So that's where the 150 minutes a week come out to. And we're talking like maybe walking at a faster pace, lifting weights, swimming, cycling, but where you're sweating, you're getting the sweat from it. 65% improvement in quality of sleep. So the people's sleep scores studied in this, they had more deep sleep when they did this. They had more REM sleep when they did this. Their sleep scores went up 65% versus groups that didn't exercise at all. So or even exercise in the evening. So just as good as this is in the morning to exercise, if you're like, I don't do it in the morning, I do it in the evenings, that will deplete your heart rate variability. That will deplete your REM sleep. Isn't that crazy, right? But the time you work out matters. So try to do it in the morning if you can. Nothing crazy, but I will tell you the benefits of doing it in the morning. You just feel better. You'll sleep better. I promise you that, because sometimes if you work out in the afternoon, it's hard to go to sleep because you're up, man. You got muscles repairing. You are having that dopamine hit from exercising. It's hard to wind down. So morning workouts would be key. Another one is getting outside, getting vitamin D. Now look, we talked about this at the immune class. Vitamin D is more of a hormone than a vitamin. It really is. It is so intricate to so many hormonal changes and immune changes and bone changes in your body that it's got to be thought about differently than just vitamin D, right? So can we get it from the sun? Yes. We need about you need your shirt, you need your shirt off, full exposure for about 30 minutes to get your daily amount of D from the sun. That's hard to do for people. Here in Texas, it's scorched earth in the summer, so it's really hard to go out there and do that. A lot of people put sunscreen on them, and that blocks all the beneficial rays from the sun from turning the ultraviolet rays into vitamin D in your body. But you put the sunscreen on, blocks it. But also in the wintertime, like it's like 37, 38 this morning. Like who wants to go out and try to get sun with your shirt off and that? I don't. So supplementing is a really good way when it's cold to get your vitamin D. And we need to be getting enough because with vitamin D, check this out. Vitamin D is not just important for your immune system. It's drastically big. It's so important for your bone health too. But it's very important for the production of serotonin and melatonin, both which influence your sleep patterns. You get a lot of melatonin, serotonin. You need vitamin D to help produce that. That's a precursor. So something that is going to really blow your minds here, wearing sunglasses interferes with that hormonal process. So if you're wearing sunglasses outside, your eyes need to get vitamin D from the sun. You need the rays. So you need to start taking off the sunglasses for a little bit and letting your eyes, even with your eyes closed, get sun on these eyes to help produce more melatonin, serotonin in your body. Go look it up. Like you put the sunglasses on, you don't really produce much melatonin. So that puts you at a disadvantage. So something as easy as going outside, even if it's cold, but if it's sunny, let it hit your eyes. 15, 20 minutes. It feels good. Think about if you've ever gone to a beach. I love going to the beach for vacation. I feel very calm. I sleep great. I'm very relaxed. I'm out in the sun. Right? I'm getting a ton of vitamin D on my body. I'm getting a suntan, but I'm getting the D. I'm getting the rays. It's getting them, on my eye. It's getting everywhere. I feel really relaxed. Feet are in the sand. I'm grounding. So there's hormonal things that happen when we do that. We want to focus on that. If we're wearing sunglasses while we're doing that, we don't get as much. Another thing with vitamin D too, vitamin D, especially for like weight, think about this. During the wintertime, your body will think if your D is low, right? So you should get a test. It's called a vitamin D blood test. See where your number is. What is the amount of vitamin D that's in your blood? A good score to have on that would be 50 to 70 is a really good score. The best would be like 70 to in that 90 range would be optimal. But a lot of people are so deficient in vitamin D, it's almost half the population of the United States. It's outside of omega-3 fats being the number one deficiency, vitamin D is the number 2 deficiency of most Americans. So chances are either you or somebody you really care about is deficient in D. What the body will do, it tricks the body. So if you're very low in D, your body is basically tricked into thinking it is winter. So even if it's summer, your body thinks it's winter because your D is so low. Obviously, there's no sun. You're not getting the D. You're not outside. It must be winter. And it starts to store fat instead of burning fat. Isn't that crazy? So D is amazing. We need it. That's going to be big. So hopefully that makes some a little bit of sense. Other things that are really good to do is getting magnesium in the body, getting selenium, getting your minerals, or electrolytes. Electrolytes are minerals, but getting enough minerals in your body by eating enough vegetables. That's going to be the highest amount of minerals is in veggies. The highest amount of vitamins are going to be in fruits. So we need vitamins as well. That's big. But we want to be doing a good balance. We need to be getting more of these fruits and vegetables in our body, less processed foods, less foods that are just, synthetically made, have a bunch of chemicals in it. We would like to get more foods without labels. So we have this plan in our book. Let me show you the book here. It's the, remove this. It's the Align Your Health book. This book is not just a guidebook and a grocery book, but the last half of it, right? So check that out. The last half of this, it's all recipes. And it follows these guidelines of higher protein, higher fat, lower carb meals. Remember, the higher amount of carbs, the more it turns into sugar. And if you're doing that for your dinner, it's going to lead to, a low heart rate variability, and a low or none when it comes to REM sleep. So we want to be putting in a lot more protein, healthy fat in our body, and vitamins and minerals. We want to get these building blocks that our body can use to repair itself while we're sleeping. So the advanced plan is going to be really big to achieve that. And it focuses on that principle. So what's cool about the book is you have little symbols of core and advanced plan. And if you're doing advanced plan, like it's following those principles. You're not getting a high amount of carbs, and you're not getting a bunch of junk in making the food. Like it's going to be less, there's no synthetic oils. You're gonna be using healthy oils to cook with, healthy sweeteners, healthy seasonings, better quality fruits and veggies than you would get, and where to get them. It sets you up for success with just better nutrition. So obviously we got to start with that. So you get more of your vitamins and minerals with fruits and vegetables. Want to focus on that because chances are we're very deficient in certain things. Like nobody's 100% perfect. We all have deficiencies due to our lifestyle. That's big. So in addition to eating better, there's some things that we can take that make a big impact on how we sleep. We have a bundle, and I'm going to talk about why I really like this bundle right now. So number one, for the vitamin D, we just hit how that is responsible for helping your body make serotonin and melatonin. A lot of people don't know that. We need to obviously be taking in vitamin D. So what I like about our vitamin D, it's got two things in one. It's D3 in the amount of 5,000 international units. Most vitamin D out there on the market is like 400 IUs, which doesn't really protect you from much. It's not going to increase your D blood test. 5,000 is really the minimum that an adult should take. If you have a child, vitamin D, about 1,000 to 2,000 IUs a day. That's that's what I give my kids every day is about that amount. But for an adult, 5,000. Now during the wintertime, you could go up to 10,000 a day. That's what I do myself right now, just to help get a buffer because I'm not getting in the sun as much as I would during the summer. So a lot of times D blood levels go down during the winter. This will help bring that up very big. But it also is very good for gut health because it has 10 billion strain of probiotics in it. So I really like how they put that two together. So you don't have to get two different things. Also, something that I love at night is my magnesium glycinate. Magnesium is big because it has a lot of functions. Essentially, magnesium, think of it in terms of B vitamins. You use it for like 300 different enzyme reactions in the body. So magnesium is used up, but it also, because it's so readily absorbed around the body for different functions, it gets depleted very fast too. And if you exercise a lot and you sweat a lot, magnesium is an electrolyte. So you lose your magnesium, you deplete it, you'll get low in it. Years ago doing triathlons, I got so deficient in magnesium. And I was having crazy, like Charlie Horse's muscle spasms. And that was why I was so deficient. So I started taking magnesium, but I take it at night. Why I take this at night? Because of the effects it has. Magnesium calms down the body. It calms down the digestive system. Magnesium calms down your heart. It's a vasodilator. It helps your arteries open up a little bit. So it helps with circulation, and it helps with reducing soreness in muscles. So at the end of the day, with me exercising and adjusting, you guys, like it's very physical. And I find, we're almost at starting 17 years of doing this. That's a lot of adjustments. It's a lot of wear and tear on my body. This is like one of my go-tos at night. I can tell, like one night doing it, I can tell I'm just beat up a little bit more the next day. So it helps me a lot. But also it calms your body down, calms your brain down. So it's really good in aspects if you just have a hard time going to sleep. Something else that's going to be just a game changer for a lot of you, we have something called Sleep and Mood Formula. This has been actually reformulated within the last year. So some of you maybe took this years ago. It has two components now. You should just have one. It has something called 5-HTP. That's one of the main ingredients. That is a precursor to tryptophan. You might have heard of tryptophan, especially from Thanksgiving. If you had a lot of turkey and you got really tired, you took a mid-afternoon nap between football games. The reason that happened is because you had so much turkey that there's tryptophan in turkey. Tryptophan makes you sleepy. Tryptophan turns into serotonin. That's what it leads to, which is great for calming your brain down and going to sleep. But what they did in the last year, they reformulated this where they have the same amount of tryptophan or 5-HTP, but they added in about 3 micrograms of melatonin with that tryptophan. And that like 1-2 punch, that has made a gigantic difference. I have patients, that maybe didn't see results with just tryptophan, but adding some melatonin with it. I mean, this thing doesn't stay on my shelves. This last year, I've had so many people tell me they just love Sleep and Mood. The way I would take these, let me get to the greens too, but Sleep and Mood, it's really been a transformative thing. I love it. It really helps put me in a good place at night. And then to help with those of you that do a lot of caffeine to stay awake, I put the greens powder in this. This is a huge natural way to help with nitric oxide. So that's like natural caffeine, so to speak, but nothing like coffee caffeine, right? It's a little bit, but it actually helps quite a bit, gives you energy. So you're going to have components in here like beets and kale, stuff that basically forms nitric oxide in your body, in your bloodstream, and it helps with energy. So you get an energy boost from it. So instead of having to have 3 cups of coffee, have maybe 1, but also as kind of like a mid-morning snack, you do a scoop of the greens with about 8 ounces of water. You shake it up and you down it. We have a couple flavors now. We actually just got berry flavor. So we have chocolate, but we have a new flavor that's going to be in our office on it hadn't been delivered yet. It's going to be delivered Tuesday because it's en route. But we have a berry flavor. If you have 2 now that you can pick from, and you just mix it with water, drink it. And what you're going to get out of that is it's super easy to do on the run. And you just mix it with water. But that's going to help give you some natural energy. I would do that around mid-morning or maybe right after lunch. We don't take enough. Even if we start eating really good fruits and vegetables now, we haven't done that, a lot of us, for years. We're going to be deficient in stuff. So we want to be putting greens in. This is like getting 6 to 8 servings of vegetables put in your body every day. You can't eat that much in today's, it's just really hard. But if you can be getting a lot of the nutrients that we're lacking in our body, you're going to have energy. You'll have less of that urge to go for the caffeine. You really will. So the greens, if it was me, I would take these things either mid-morning or right after, like a mid-afternoon for like a snack. That'll help with that crash if you're limiting your caffeine, because you're going to have to have better sleep. With that being said, vitamin D probiotics, you can take that. I take that in the morning. I take it in the morning with my breakfast. So super easy to do there. Magnesium is right before you go to bed. So keep that on your nightstand. You take 4 of them. That's gut friendly, meaning it's not a liquid magnesium. That's going to be very hard on the stomach. That's the magnesium citrate form. This is glycinate. This is very protective in your stomach. It doesn't aggravate it. And that's why you can take a higher amount, which is 400 milligrams of that at night, and get a better result from it. No upset stomach. At night, it's awesome to take right when you go to bed, the magnesium. And then Sleep and Mood's a little tricky. You're gonna have to fiddle with this one a little bit. The way I do it, it kind of depends on when you want to go to bed. So if you are like me and I try my best, always by 10, but I try for 9:30. So a lot of times I get 9:30, but at a fail safe, 10 is I'm in bed. But if I'm trying to get in bed between 9:30 and 10, I take the Sleep and Mood around 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m. That's when I take it, because it's going to start to kick in, and right about that 9 o'clock, like I'm ready to go to sleep. And so that's how I would do it. So if you go to sleep at 10, I would be setting yourself up maybe at 6, 5:30, taking it, and then see. If you find yourself getting really tired very quickly, then take it a little bit later, closer to your bedtime. But I find that most people, if they're trying to go to bed around 9 or 10, they take it around 5 p.m., 5:30. That's kind of a sweet spot to be in. But Sleep and Mood. And this is our bundle. And again, I'm going to put this up here as we're talking about our bundle here. You can text or call our office number to order this bundle, it's marked down the most. I think we have it on sale for you get $20 off, which is a huge amount deducted off of these. But everything in our office is also marked down for today only. So if you're watching this now, you can call or text. I've already done it. If you're watching later today, make sure you call, leave a message before Saturday is done, and we'll honor that. You'll still get the savings on this. So you just got to text or call the office. If you're out of town, you're going, well, I don't live in DFW. What do I do? Instead of calling our office number or texting it, go to drwalldc.com and then click on the store tab. And then what that's going to do, you can order each of these individually. And if you auto ship them, you save 5% on each one, right? So you'll get savings that way, but you'll get it right at your house within a week. They actually send this stuff to patients and people faster than they do to the doctors, which is funny. Just that's another topic. But like you'll get them very quick. So that's a way that you can get this stuff in your body as well. So that's pretty cool. So I kind of leave this thing up here for you guys to do. So that's all you got to do is call while we're doing this class. Right now, Brandon is here since we're live, and he'll take your orders over the phone or text. Text would probably be better for him. This is the part that I struggled at the most, and you guys might be relating with me on this. My nighttime routine stunk. My nighttime routine was awful. So if we have a poor nighttime routine and practices, for instance, this person, well, I don't know what he's eating, but it might be cereal or something, but just, you can tell it's dark. He's got the TV on. He is just wide-eyed looking at the TV. If you have a poor nighttime practice, you're going to have poor sleep. No, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts with that. It's just not going to be pretty for you, and you got to change that. And so one of the biggest problems that I ran into was this. This has been so hard for me to put in place. But once I got it in place, it became, now I'm regimented now, thank goodness. But at first, very easy to get off track when we do this. Sorry, I was losing my voice here a little bit. So what we want to do, we want our bedroom to be our sleep sanctuary. I wish I had a little highlight. So it's like in your head, or write it down. We want the bedroom to be a sleep sanctuary. This is where we need to get our sleep. This is not another place to work. This is not another place to watch TV. This is not another place to do anything else. Well, if you're married, maybe something else there. But come on now, we're family, right? But this is where you sleep, and it needs to be set up to give you good sleep. And I find that with me for years, I didn't do that. And not only did it affect me, I was affecting Shanna's sleep because of the dumb stuff that I was doing at night. So for instance, number one, lots of distractions, meaning we would kind of go from family right into bed, and not really having that kind of, we're just turning all the lights off. We're kind of toning down for 30 minutes or so before we go to bed. It was like, okay, rush to get the kids to bed because I got to get up in the morning, rush to do, everything was kind of rushed. So number one, that makes your cortisol go up because you're rushing and you're stressing to get in bed at a certain time. So you just, about an hour before you go to bed, dim all your lights, start turning lights off in your house, turn the TVs off, all that stuff. You can still, play with the kids and everything of that nature, but just, teeth are brushed, all that nighttime routine is done. That way you're not stressing to do that right before you go to bed. It does affect things. That's where the distractions. Keeping it quiet. So no, nothing loud, no loud, like movies and stuff at night. Slow down your routine, reading a book versus your phone. Huge difference. Matter of fact, neurologically, if you read a book, it's like bench pressing for your brain. Reading a book, paper book. If you try to read that same book on an e-reader or your phone, it's waking your brain up. It's firing your brain in the wrong way. Did you know that? So there's a difference between reading a book and reading your tablet or phone. Book is always better. Book calms you down. So yes, if you love to read a book, switch from the e-reader to an actual book. I know it might be, not as minimal, but your brain is going to like it better. It is. And make it routine. Every night, same time, within 30 minutes, you are doing this every single night. And that's big because a lot of people, they'll have a pretty good routine during the weekday. But like myself, during the weekend, we'd be up later. We'd maybe go out and do something as a family, but we'd be staying out a little bit later, and we go to bed later. And then the next day it's like, I don't want to do anything. I feel awful. You would feel it more. Something that my wife does that has helped her tremendously is taking a piping hot Epsom salt bath every night. When I come home at it's about 7 to 7:15, she tags me in. So she tags out and she goes upstairs and does this. This is a ritual that she does, and it keeps her sanity, right? With 2 kids and now 2 dogs. One of them's gigantic. Pray for us. But it's a ritual that calms her down. So what she does, she douses it with essential oils. So she has like frankincense, lavender in there. Those are calming, oils. She has the Epsom salts in there, piping hot. Maybe there's some, spa music playing in the bathroom, and she reads. She reads a book in the bathroom. That's her thing. And dare we mess with that? Like, no. Happy mama, happy everybody. So she does that for about an hour and a half. That's her time. No distractions. Nobody disturbs her. And seriously, she comes out of that, and then we, about 30 more minutes, and we put the kids to bed. It's her routine. But when she comes out of that, it's amazing she's a different person. She's a completely different person. You can tell she's just, she reset, and then that has really helped her sleep a lot better at night. Like, I don't do this. I do all my shower stuff in the morning, but this is great for her. And so we have made that routine, and we don't mess with that. So that is big. So ladies, that is try it for a week. It'll change you. Your husbands will see the change, and they will be like, okay, you got to get your bath in. Let's go get your bath in. It's so funny. Can't miss that. It's such a big deal in our house. This is probably the worst thing I would do. There's 2 here. I would be on my phone at night. Oh, I'm so embarrassed to admit this, but like, a lot of you guys, when you started care with me, and I'm very big on communication with y'all. You email me, I respond back. But like, I would get so OCD in my head that if I had like 2 or 3 emails, I'm like, I'm not going to sleep until I respond back to you and you have it, then I'll go to sleep. So a lot of times it'd be 30 minutes. I'd be in bed and the lights, everything would be off, but my phone's on. So I'm getting the Wi-Fi, I'm getting all the radiation coming off the phone. That's triggering my brain to wake up, and I'm doing emails. So my brain's thinking, you're right, it should be calming down. I'm doing emails. I'm responding back to you guys the same day, but then I would go to sleep and I would wake up just beat up and exhausted, and because my phone was on, right. And this was even before we started putting, EMF blockers on our phones. And in our house, we have a lot of that in our house as a result of lowering the radiation exposure from electronics. But I'd still be on it at night. So I'm still, it's not healthy. And it's keeping Shanna up, even though she's asleep. The light from the phone is keeping her up. So she kind of like, babe, turn off your phone. Like, I can't sleep. So I was making her not have good sleep along with me. But it depletes your melatonin when you have your phone on at night. It just does. Your melatonin goes down. You're not going to make it, which means bad deep sleep, and you're going to have you're not going to have any REM sleep. Something else that's big. Room should be pitch dark. If it was me, I would have some white noise. I would not have it quiet in your room. I would have some type of a fan or it doesn't have to be loud, but just some type of a white noise, because a lot of people will wake up if there's just like a little something happening. Who knows, just house making noise or something like that, or a car coming by, you wake up. But if you have the white noise, it really minimizes that risk of you waking up. It's very big. So all of us, my kids and us, we all have, even the dogs. I have a white noise machine that I play with the dogs, calm them little things down, so they're not barking all night and waking me up or Shanna. So it helps. It helps quite a bit. And if you have to get up at night, because when you start making these changes, you still might have to get up at night to maybe go to the restroom, or when you get up at night and you go to the restroom, this also is a lifesaver. So do not turn on a light when you go to the bathroom. Do not do it. You turn on the light, melatonin stops being made. because you just trick your brain into thinking it's daytime by turning the light on. Keep the light off. So if you got to go to the restroom, fine. Just sit down on the toilet. If you're a guy, do this. Sit down on the toilet and just go to the bathroom, right? Even if it's number one, do it. You'll thank me. You're groggy anyways. But you'll still get sleep when you go back to sleep. You'll still get some REM sleep after that. If you turn the lights on, you're getting none when you go back to sleep. And that's why sometimes it's really hard for people to go back to sleep, because they've done that. They've turned the light on, going to the restroom. So it just, again, simple things make that bedroom of yours a sleep sanctuary. I'm telling you, you're setting yourself up for success, getting restful sleep. That's big. Another thing, something as simple as it's pleasing to your mind and brain, is making your bed. Look, there's studies out there. There's one in particular. If you make your bed each day, 19% more likely to get better sleep most nights. Just make it a habit in the mornings, and you come in the evening to kind of a clean bed. That does something here. It's like, okay, everything is relaxed. There's no chaos because the bed's unmade. There's no chaos going on you got to deal with. Something like, I'm telling you, these are simple things, guys. It makes a difference. So I'll tell you with this, I was getting about 5.5 hours of sleep a night, which is awful. I know that's awful. And it almost got me. But I was getting 0 REM sleep and just a lot of I was only getting about 30-40% deep sleep. Making these changes over the last, what is it? This is December now. So the last, 7 months, I consistently get sleep scores in the 70s, 75, which is fair to good. It's not great. I'm telling you, it's not great. I feel like if I get 8 or 9 hours, that's usually when I get the 90% score, but it's just not happening right now. But what I can do is get the most out of my 6.5 hours. I'll usually get around 6 to 7 a night, which is so much better than it used to be. But in that time, my REM sleep went from 0 to I get about an hour to an hour and a half of REM sleep. On bad nights, I'll get like 45 minutes, but I'm getting consistent REM cycle sleep. Some of you might do a measurable. You might get like an hour to 2 hours of REM sleep. That's outstanding, right? That's amazing. But consistently, my REM is so much better and my deep sleep is so much better. And that's why I'm getting pretty good sleep scores. If I added maybe another hour or two, but I don't know how I would fit that in, of time, it would be higher. But for right now, it's done great. So like I said, I'm definitely not perfect at this right now, but this is stuff that's made such an impact on my REM sleep. So I'm telling you, it works because it's working with me. Even last night, getting up, I still had 54 minutes of REM sleep. And I got up and I actually had the light turned on because I had to take the dogs out because they were the big one was barking and barking at 3 a.m. Still had 54 minutes of REM sleep, still had a good sleep score. I had a 75 sleep score. I'm like, how did that happen? Because I felt like I didn't really get much sleep. It was just these habits get you into that cycle sleep really fast. So hopefully that's helping you guys. Hopefully comment if this is helping you a little bit, if this is making sense. If you're thinking, oh, I can do these things. It's not, these are helpful tips. It's helping me. We're all learning together on this one. But consistent timing, this is big. So if you're getting the Monday morning blues, typically it's because you're keeping a late schedule on the weekends. And what happens is the internal clock, your circadian rhythm, right? Like the rooster keeps crowing at the same time at dawn. It's a consistency thing, but you throw off your circadian rhythm about 2 hours or more behind your weekend schedule because of how crazy your hours were. So keep it even on the weekends. Like it's funny being in my 40s now. Like back in maybe, I think this might be since kids, but it's funny since we've had our kids, like, I'm really good. Let's go out until about 7 p.m. And then it's like, okay, we need to start kind of making our way home. I need to start getting ready for bed. I don't stay out late anymore. I can't because my kids, it's so funny. My son, especially, if you think that, if it's a late night, like we've had a couple events to go to, it's been a late night. We're thinking, okay, well, he'll sleep in late. No, he does not. He gets up like the rooster crows every single morning. Once it's light, my son's coming downstairs. Hey, Daddy, good morning. I'm like, oh, you didn't sleep, dude. Go back to sleep. Like we went in late, but you want to keep it consistent. So even on the weekends, we try to keep this thing as consistent as we can. And again, that will help a lot of you guys that are struggling with sleep. We need to remove interferences in our body. That's big. And we talked about stress. We're talking about a lot of the emotional stress and what that does. We've talked about physical stress in the form of subluxation and your spine being out of alignment, but how stress impacts the brain, short-term and long-term things. Short-term, stress releases adrenaline and cortisol. Again, short-term, it can be good. It enhances alertness and focus. It enhances strength. It decreases pain. You don't feel pain in that moment because you got to defend yourself. But chronic stress leads to lasting damage. Prolonged exposure to high levels of cortisol and adrenaline, it doesn't turn off, impairs your memory and your brain function, shrinks brain cells, that's never good, in key areas like the hippocampus, and disrupt the communication between your regions of your brain. So I think all of us can probably understand that's not good. We're going to suffer long term. So how do we deal with the stress of life? Because it, like we said at the beginning, you don't escape the stress. It's there. A lot of you had some crazy stress, like me, maybe different parts, but just family stress for Thanksgiving, traveling, all that stuff that goes into holidays. It's a lot. Maybe you're taking care of somebody. Maybe it's tough at work right now. Maybe you're having deadlines you got to meet. Maybe just, you've been in bad health for so long. Now you're trying to get in good health. You're a patient in the office. You're trying to get your health back, but you're realizing that you've been in a bad way for a long time, and it's a process. You got to keep working on it. It's stressful when there's a countless things. 24-hour stress on news, it's nuts. So how do we focus on the good in this process? There's a lot of ways you can do it. You can't eliminate the stress, but can we handle it better? Yes. So a peace management morning routine, even make it a ritual, so to speak, is I find that helps. That helps me. I take an hour every morning to get my brain right with God, but also with the day, the expectations. I get my morning workout in as well after that. So my morning, if I miss this in the morning, I am terrible as the day goes on. Like, I just feel like I'm overwhelmed at the office. I feel like everybody has questions that I can't answer, if I miss my morning routine. And so I'm so regimented on that. And it's a good and a bad thing, because like, if I miss it, it's just, I feel off for the rest of the day, especially in the office. I feel like I'm moving slower. I'm just like, my brain's not working as good. It's not as sharp. But if I get my time, my morning routine, my morning workout, getting right with God and the passages in the Bible, if I get that in, like, I feel like I'm so more alert and focused, and I can problem solve so much faster for people. So it helps. It really helps me quite a bit. So that helps me also handle stress, because I say this lovingly, taking care of you guys, it can be stressful. It can. I've had to finally, after almost 17 years of doing this, I've had to come to the realization that I can't be everybody's everything at every single time. I can't do it. Do I still answer emails very fast? Yes. But if it's a late email, it might be the next day I get back to you. But I'm not forgetting about you. I'm getting sleep in, right? I'm taking care of myself so that I can take care of you guys more, because I realize in May, if I can't do this, I can't help you. So I have to really take a little bit of time and take care of myself as well, so I can still be 100% for you guys. But that's been an awakening experience for this last year. Let's start with how we sleep. Physically can make our spine subluxated the way we sleep. Something that you think is so innocent, the way you sleep, but you got to understand, you're in this position. It could be your mattress. Maybe it's not firm enough. Maybe it's too soft. Maybe it's too hard. Maybe your pillow's bad. Those make differences, because you're on these things for 8 or 6 hours a night for years. So the positioning that you sleep in matters, right? So we have some examples, some funny ones. We have like the soldier, the starfish. I didn't even know they had names for these things. The log position, the yearner, the fetus position, like the fetal position, and then the free faller. I can tell you that the best position to sleep in is going to be on your back, supported, or on your side, supported, but preferably the back. In patients, this is the best position you could be in, is on your back, under your home care rolls, in your pelvic wedges. Why? Because that's part of your rehab you do that helps settle your spine into more of a natural alignment. So being on that as long as you can is awesome. If you're a new patient, just do your 20 minutes, but do that before you go to bed. Your sleep will be better. You'll wake up less beat up. But if you've been a patient for like 5 or 6 years, a lot of you guys have been, you can lay on these things longer. So there's times I go all night on these things. If I'm beat up, I'm just like, I'll lay on them. I'll be out for hours, and I'll wake up feeling so much better than when I went to sleep. So there's some times that you might want to lay on them longer, but that's the best. The second best position is the position that you get the best, the position you sleep the longest or the most in. So even though we might have to work on some positioning, make sure you're getting sleep. So if that means you have to be on your side, be on your side. But maybe there we go. Sorry, I muted this. See, I just touched this mic. That's why I don't do tech, guys. It's crazy. Just muted myself. But on your side, have something between your knees for supporting your hips and your back. That's going to be big. And make sure if you're on your side, you have a pillow. Like, let me show you. You want a pillow that puts you like this. If you don't have a good, a sturdy enough pillow and you're like this at night, you see the problem. That's going to subluxate your neck. If you have too big of a pillow, it's pushing you the other way. That's going to strain your neck. And again, over time will create problems in your spine. So just the way we sleep can mess our spine up. That's just one example. There are hundreds of examples the way that we can interfere with our spine. And if our spine is subluxated, like we talked about earlier, these headphones keep falling out of my ears. Apologize. I'm trying some new stuff here. But if our spine is subluxated, we talked about this. Your cortisol goes up. As soon as the nerves are getting compressed by the spine, cortisol starts to rise, and it doesn't go back down. And that's critically important because of understanding what these things do, and that your spine has everything to do with these things being in balance. So it's funny, a lot of you that are patients, I tell you all the time when I adjust you, what do I say when we have completed your adjustment? Every time. Yeah, you guys said it. I say your power's on. Well, the power of this adjustment, it's so big for you. One of the things that you're going to see is how these two subcategories of your nervous system are affected. This is a really good diagram. I was able to dig this up. I think it'll really help you guys. It helped me learning this stuff. But we have the sympathetic nerves, which is fight or flight, and your parasympathetic nerves, which is rest and digest. Sympathetic nerves response, cortisol goes high. Parasympathetic calms your body down. Serotonin is made when that's happening. So we want more of resting and digesting and less fight or flight, right? That's how we should be, the balance. But people are way too much stressed, way too much cortisol, way too much fight or flight, and they're not enough rest and digest. And I'm telling you, almost everybody coming into my office as a new patient, usually because we're the last place people go they're like, okay, it's family or friends have convinced them to come in and see us. So they're coming in, they're skeptical. I guarantee you 99 out of 100 of those people coming in, they're dominant cortisol. They're stressed. They're wired. They're so tense, right? You can just see them being tense. They're hard as a rock with their muscles. They're in fight or flight, and they've been in fight or flight way too long. And it's caused problems not just with their muscles, with their spine. It's causing organs not to work well also. Now, if you want to look at location of these nerves, it's kind of cool. So you see here, you got the brain, okay? But then this is the brainstem, this is the neck, and then this is the mid and lower back. So the fight or flight nerves are in the middle and lower back. If you didn't know that, that's where they're located. And then the very low back sacrum coccyx, the tailbone, over here, this is where the parasympathetic nerves are. So you're the top of the neck and then your tailbone. That's where those nerves come out, the calmer downer nerves. So why is that important? because you've experienced this. I know you have, and maybe you experience this every time I adjust you, which is why you make this a lifestyle. You take care of your nerves and your spine, your life. I find that the people that are the most stressed, when we adjust them, they want to take a nap right when we were done adjusting them, right on the table. I know you've been there. Comment if you've been there, especially your very first adjustment. You guys remember this. You got adjusted. I always call you for that first one because I want the feedback. That helps me a lot with recommendations for you. But 9 times out of 10, you guys watching that first adjustment, you probably told me this. I slept really good that night. I was kind of in shock how good I slept. Why? Because when we adjusted your neck, we took pressure off the nerves, and your parasympathetic nervous system started going up and activating, and then your stress goes down. And the people that feel this the most, those are the people that they need it the most. They're the most in fight or flight. Yeah, if you want to take a nap on the table right after I adjust you, you are in that category. You are way too much in fight or flight. You got to get parasympathetic to come up. So we want balance with people. The reason people heal, the reason people see amazing changes is because we get the balance back into their body, right? It's good to have fight or flight, but we got to balance it out with rest and digest. That's why the nervous system is so big. And that's why if your spine, due to traumas, due to sports, due to your life, due to, the way you sleep, due to a lot of factors, repetitive stress, sitting at a desk on a computer hunched over for years, like these things may seem small, but over time, your spine will change. It will get out of its normal position and it will compress your nerves, and that will trigger fight or flight. And if it's not addressed, it doesn't get better, it gets worse. It does. I just had this week a new patient. She's in her 70s, never been adjusted, never had her spine looked at. She has organ issues. Organs aren't working well, specifically digestive system, but she doesn't have much pain, which is wild because her spine is awful. I mean, we're talking a surgical scoliosis in the 40-degree range. I'm looking at it and going, how do you not feel this? But that happens. You don't always feel subluxations. You don't feel it. Remember, the spinal cord doesn't feel pain. So how do we know we're dealing with it? There's warning signs. So if you're having headaches, you're having, high blood pressure, the top of the neck deals with and regulates those systems of the body. Ladies, if you're having cycle issues, hormonal issues, menstrual cycle issues, that's going to be more of the lower back. Those nerves regulate the reproductive organs. Depression, sciatica, low back pain, neck pain, dizziness, fatigue, reflux, a lot of the immune stuff. You get sick a lot. You have breathing issues like I did. I was asthmatic for 20 years. You get frequent colds. Your bowels aren't working normally. You can't focus. You can't sleep. You're having skin issues, rashes. These are signs of overactive sympathetic nerves. It means your spine is subluxated. It's not balanced, and you need to do something about that. That's going to be huge. And obviously, we want to help those of you that are not patients. That's going to be big. We want to get you sleeping better, but we want to get you healing better, right? You guys see the difference? We want to get you to a better level of health. And we want to honor you for your time watching this with an exam and possibly x-rays if needed in our office. Normally, having all the testing, because we do posture, thermography, we do digital x-ray analysis. That's how we test patients their first visit in our office. Typically, we charge $105 for that process. For those of you that are going, man, Dr. Wall makes sense. He's speaking to me. I need to get this thing checked. And you took the time to watch this, man, we want to honor you with that. Like, we will waive that entire first appointment fee. Even if we x-ray, we'll waive it. If you take action with this and you call our office, that number's already up at the bottom of the screen here. Call the office or talk to Brandon or Dr. Carter. We're standing by to help. We will get you scheduled for an exam in our office this week. But that's for today. So if you're watching this delayed, today. It's still Saturday the 2nd. Still call, leave a message, leave your best contact number. That way we can get back a hold of you. We will honor that. We will check you. We will set you up. We're here Tuesday through Saturdays. We'll find a time that works for you. But also, if you're a patient, you're thinking about your husband or your wife or your kids, or maybe it's your parents, or maybe it's your brother or sister or friends, you're going, man, they need to go, have them watch this, have them call. You can call for your family. We'll honor that for your kids or for your spouse. Like we just got done with a family day. We'll honor it for you. Like, again, the goal here is getting you guys to better levels of health. So do that. Take advantage of that. That's going to be huge. I got the number up here as we get into this last bit here. So we have 30 days to amazing sleep. This is one where you want to rewatch this. This class will save to Facebook and YouTube here momentarily. It'll save. You can go back and rewatch it today and maybe even go to some of the slides that you wanted to finish your notes on. Here's one that's going to be big. 30 days to amazing sleep. Okay, we got 10 things we want to focus on, but they're not crazy, right? We talked about them. Unplug 30 minutes to an hour before your bed. No phones, tablets in the bedroom. Just don't have them. At the very least, put them on airplane mode so you don't have any Wi-Fi, any noise coming out of the phone as form of electromagnetic radiation. You have none of that stuff going on by you while you're trying to sleep. It screws up your sleep. It does. Black out your sleep sanctuary. It is for sleeping, not for working, not for watching TV, not for anything other than what the bed's designed for, which is sleep. Like, please wake up and be consistent on the time you go to bed and the time you wake up each morning. Something else. Now, this is actually kind of cool. Temperature wise, let me hit this. I actually didn't hit this during my notes. I must have skipped that slide. Temperature matters in your house. The cooler, the better. This might upset some of you that don't like cold. I'm that person. So just so you know, I feel your pain. I hate cold weather. The older I get, the more I hate it. Like, is it okay to say I hate something? I hate cold weather. I just do. I just don't like to do anything. I don't like my house being very cold either. And my house is naturally cold. And so what we found to keep especially these last couple of weeks, to keep the dogs quiet, we've had to lower the temp in the house. That way the heat doesn't kick on as fast. And makes the dogs, they don't like that. They sleep better when I have it 67 in my house. I do not personally like that. I'm frigid. I look like, Hugh Hefner. I got house shoes on, long pants, long shirt. I'll put a robe on. I do not like cold weather, but I have found this. Not only do the dogs sleep better when it's colder, I sleep better, meaning my scores are really, just the last 2 weeks, my REM sleep has gone up from like an hour to now I'm getting like an hour and 15, hour and a half of REM, and I haven't added any extra time sleeping. So the cooler temp you can get your house, find what works for you, right? But if you're on like 72 or even 70, you want to try to drop it to 69 or try to drop it to 68. Or go crazy like we have. We've done 67 just to keep the dogs asleep. It helps. It really does help. I've noticed a change in 2 weeks of doing this. It helps. Make your bed every morning. Eliminate caffeine. No sugar or alcohol within 2 hours of bedtime. Trust me on that one. That one is a game changer. Exercise 30 minutes a day, preferably morning. If you have to do it at lunch, that's okay too. Just try not to do it right before or in the evening or afternoon. That I wouldn't do it then. And then obviously the bundles, that's going to be big. The magnesium, the sleep and mood, the D3, the greens, like these are things that'll assist your body with minerals, vitamins that it needs to help your body in this transition phase. And then make sure you keep getting adjusted. I always find, you guys know this, I always find that when you come in, have you ever wondered how it's just adjusting 500,000 people in 17 years? In most people, I can feel your stress. I can feel it with my hands. Have you ever wondered? I'm not just making it up. Like I'll feel it, and you're getting adjusted, and you'll hear me maybe whisper or say, "Oh my gosh, what have you been doing? Like you're so stressed." I feel your stress. You need to be getting adjusted regularly, and it helps so much de-stress you in that moment. It's such a help, and even though when you're stressed, sometimes you're kind of like, do I want to go into Dr. Wall? Yes, I need it, but like I'm so stressed. I got all this stuff to do. It's still worth it. Come in, get adjusted. It'll calm you down. Like you're always better leaving the office when you're stressed, you come in, or if you're sick and you come in and I adjust, you're always better leaving, right? You're always glad you did it. So just know that has such an impact when it comes to your stress. Ooh. So what I like to do, because we're getting done early, which I like that. You guys like that? We're getting done early. I told you to be short and sweet here. But what I want to do, I want to answer some questions here. So let's do a little Q&A. Let me look at the comments here because we got, oh yes, here we go. We got a bunch of comments. Awesome. Let me go through here just a minute. We're going to do some Q&A. So I'll say this, I'm going to go and look through your comments. This is the time. If you haven't asked your question and you have one, type it now, answer it. Once we get done, we're done. I'm going to go through and see everybody here as I'm scrolling down. Nice. Miss Cindy, I'm glad we're covering the topic as well. It is very, very needed. Hopefully we all are learning some stuff together, because this one, I'm telling you, this one affects me quite a bit. Oh, Miss Nisha, good to see you, girl. Good to see you, man. Call the office. Been trying to get a hold of you. I'm so glad you're on. All right, Miss Wanda. Yes, I'm glad. Something that's really neat. Anytime you're able to do things in the morning, I hear you. Like I do feel better myself. Hopefully this helps you guys. Do it in the morning, even though you might wake up right now. If you're transitioning, you're groggier, you just don't feel like maybe you want to work out. But I promise you, your focus will be better. You'll be thinking better. You'll have more energy. It does so many good things for you versus the later you do it, the trade-off, you lose that benefit by doing it in the morning. I used to be like that. Even in Cairo school, I would not work out first thing in the morning. But once I started had no option when I was doing triathlons, I had to get stuff in because I was scared of drowning right in the swim. I was always scared of the swim part, swimming in an ocean or a river, that like I forced myself to do it. But I would always notice, man, I really feel good at the end of the day, or even during lunch. Like I have energy. I feel great. Morning is the best way to do that. Yeah. So, okay. Here's a good question. Miss Leanne, you got some good ones, girl. Okay, so what EMF blockers do you use? There's a couple. So we use something called Safe Space. I had to unplug it because I've had it plugged in the last couple of virtual classes and we've lost our connection. But this is from Safe Space. So what you do, here we go. So I plug this in to my office, and what it does, it reroutes all the electrical wiring around our office. I have one of these at my house too. So it gets in your electrical wiring and it creates, it doesn't necessarily block EMF, but it kind of distorts it to where it's more harmonious to your body, to your brain, versus disharmonious. If you had the cell phone to your ear, if you had the cell phone, like if you had the cell phone to your ear like this, it's emitting EMR. So another thing, if you're like on your phone at night, you're getting the radiation from the phone too, and all that's doing is making your brain heat up before you go to bed. So on our phones, same company, we have. Can you guys see that? I have this. It doesn't, like, you can't see it, but that's an EMF blocker. I use Safe Space. There's other good ones out there, but that's just what Shannon and me have used for a while. I did just order Wayfinder. I used to have that. They have little ones for the phones. I ordered a couple for our kids. They got some new tablets, so we're going to get these because the old ones they destroyed coming off. But I got some new ones from Wayfinder. That's a good one. Wavefinder. Truth About Cancer. They promote them quite a bit too. Music, okay, it depends if music is good. If you have your phone on airplane mode, or if you have like an MP3 player that doesn't have Wi-Fi or anything like that, and you have plugged in headphones, yes, that's okay. If you have wireless headphones, you have Bluetooth headphones, no, because you're getting EMF from the headphones. That will mess up. Like I have wireless headphones when I run, because I cannot stand running like a marathon with this type of stuff, doing all this when you're running. So I have wireless headphones in my ears when I do that. But if I wear them at night, I do not get good sleep. So no, you don't want to be doing that. Um, yes, I wear a watch. I have a Garmin, but I mean Fitbit. There's so many. There's even rings you wear, I think, that measure. And there's an app on your phone, and it'll sync every morning to your app, and it'll measure out. But Garmin is great with this. It's pretty cool. So Garmin, like the heart rate monitor that I have on it, it's just like a hospital. It's very accurate on that. The readouts is really good on it. So I like it. So those are really good questions. Thank you, Miss Debbie. So glad you're watching. Um, let's see here. Nice. That's been watching from Washington, Mr. Tommy. Awesome. So glad you're watching, buddy. Thank you. Let's see here. Let's see here. Sleep. I think I went over sleep positions. Okay, so legs up 90. I'm trying to factor 90% up in the air. So if it was me reading this, I would actually, because Miss Lori, you probably should have your spine looked at if the only position you can sleep in is 90% up in the air. So basically that's going to be more of a spinal problem that's causing you you can't really sleep with your legs up in the air like that. So I would look at your pelvic alignment, your sacrum alignment. I would look at your lumbar spine alignment, because chances are they're subluxated. And I guarantee you don't have to live your life with your legs up that much to go to sleep. So I would look into that, because that is pretty interesting. I'm sorry you have to sleep that way to sleep. Yeah. So what we like to get is to where you don't have to have these crazy positions to get comfortable. It shouldn't be that way. Usually the reason you have to do that is because the spine is so out of its normal alignment that you're having to kind of do some crazy motions to maybe relieve some pressure that you can sleep. So by all means, yes, call the office. Let us take a look at your spine. I guarantee we can help with that, and it won't be so hard to sleep moving forward. Let's see here. Yeah, so like an adjustable bed, that's a good question. That kind of relates to Lori's question. So with an adjustable bed, yeah, you can bring it up some, yes, but obviously if it has to be so extreme for you to go to sleep, there's a spinal problem going on that needs to be addressed. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense when it comes to that. But you can elevate it a little bit. Yes, that takes pressure off the back, or even on your side, a pillow between the knees takes some pressure off the hips and lower back. Yeah, Ron. Hey, Ron, good to see you, man. I know Betsy's watching as well, so good to see you too, Betsy. Napping today, excellent. You absolutely can. I don't know. It depends on your nap, and you might still, like, if you have a tracker, you can see if you get some sleep as far as the cycles of it. But it never hurts to do a nap. I don't think you're going to get a lot of REM sleep if you're napping in the midday, but you might get some deep sleep in there, and rest is rest. So take it when you can. I don't see that being a problem at all. And it's not going to throw off you at night. Matter of fact, what I think would happen would be, and I'm saying this I'm saying this out of personal experience. So I would treat it like when we had this dog, we've been not now, thank the Lord, but we would wake up to changing the dog's dog food, meaning there is a monumental mess at like 3 a.m. That's waiting for us to clean up. So we would have to wake up earlier than we wanted to, clean all that mess, and go back to sleep. I would still get some deep sleep. I didn't get any REM when that happened, but I'd still get some deep sleep after. So what I would imagine would happen doing that is, if you're napping, that would carry into you're sleeping at night. So I would think that you would get your sleep cycles. You probably get into the sleep cycle a little bit faster because you've been, doing a little bit of nap and kind of priming your body for sleep. I think that would be really big. Let's see here. Yeah. So Brandon's watching too. I love this. So the Oura Ring, yeah, that measures frequency. Measures your heart rate variability. And it's just a ring that you wear. So there's some cool stuff that we can get to measure and track. So there's a lot, and hopefully that helps. And I think it's everybody's questions, man. So glad you guys jumped on with me today. If you have any more questions, my email address, I'll put it in here. It's gatewaydc@gmail.com. So I know people are going to be maybe watching this a little bit later. So if you have any questions, check the comments. That's my personal email. Email me questions. Like I said, there's no bad ones. I'll respond very quickly to you guys. But I'm so excited you joined on with us, and hopefully you learned a lot. Hopefully you literally can take this stuff and apply it tonight, and you can rewatch it as well, which is going to be a really big too. So you can rewatch this stuff. That's going to be very helpful. Take more notes, but apply it, and then let me know how you're doing when you come into the office for your treatment. Let me know how you're doing with the sleep. Things that are helping you, things that are making a big difference. I think you're going to be very surprised at how well your sleep is going to be doing these changes. So we love you guys. Like I said, you can still set orders if it's late. You can still call us to schedule a new patient exam. We want to help you. We can. And like I said, you'll get some amazing sleep with chiropractic care. So love you guys. Oh, good question. We got one more question. So Ms. Tamara, I'm so glad you jumped in. I was waiting for somebody to tell me this question. How are things different for us night workers? You never sleep well. You are at a disadvantage because it's not natural to be up the whole night. We're not built that way, so to speak. So there is a bit of a drop off with this. However, I find that people that work night shifts have a hard time with keeping things consistent, even on their days off, right? So they may stay up longer because it's the daytime. They want to be with their families, and obviously they get skewed here. So what I would, it's hard, but what you try to do the best would be to still follow these principles in your routine when you go to sleep. So you still, an hour, 30 minutes before you go to your sleep, that's your nighttime, which is during the day. That's when I would implement these principles. So and when you wake up, when it's your morning, I'm saying that in quotes, when it's your morning, you want to, that's when you want to get your exercise in. That's when you want to take your supplements at those certain times. So what is your breakfast? What is your lunch? What is your dinner? What is your bedtime? Try to be as consistent as you can on that, even on those off days when you're not working. That would put you in the best position. And then get a wearable like a Fitbit or a Garmin or anything of that nature. Get a wearable, something or an Oura Ring that tracks your sleep, and you'll start seeing those gains, or you'll start seeing areas that you want to improve on. And you can insert things, remove, things from it, and see how much of a difference that makes. This stuff we're talking about will make a difference even in your sleep. With REM and with deep sleep, it will make a big difference. But the hard part for working nights is during the day, blacking out your room. It's got to be blacked out. You kind of have to trick your brain. Otherwise, it's going to think it's daylight. So the melatonin might not be so great if there's light coming in. So blackout shades, all that stuff, white noise machine, you name it. I'd try to get that sleep sanctuary set up, and it'll improve your sleep. It will. You'd want to track it. So yeah, hopefully that helped. I'm so glad you asked that. I was like, nobody asked that question because we got a lot of night workers, but we love you guys. Any more questions, email me. And like I said, we hope you have an amazing day. Thank you for joining me. God bless you guys.